Dear Indian students, I am Dr. Preeti and today we are going to revise the connective tissues. Connective tissues, as the name only suggests, connects one part of the body to another. These connective tissues are present in various parts of our body. These are the names of some of the connective tissues present in our body that we are going to discuss in this chapter. But basically, all connective tissues are made up of some connective tissue cells that are suspended in a matrix. But now, what's a matrix? I'll let you know within some examples. For example, when your mother is preparing kheer, she takes some milk and adds rice in that. So, the milk is forming the main base of that in which these rice are put. So, that milk is acting like a matrix and the rice particles behaves like cells of the connective tissue. Apart from that, when you're preparing fruit custard, that custard is like a jelly-like material in which some fruits are suspended. So those fruits are like connective tissue cells. And that jelly-like material, that custard base, that is like a matrix. Apart from that, if you want to prepare some cookies, so you are putting some almonds or different dry fruits and just preparing the dough. So that dough is having a different consistency. That's pretty hard, not fluid. So that dough will behave like a matrix and that particles of that choco chips or almonds, whatever you have added in that dough, that will behave like the cells of the cartilaginous tissues. Okay, so I hope you have got the idea what's the matrix is. Fine. Now we'll see about the various connective tissues. The first connective tissue is really very important in our body, that is the blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. Fluid means it can flow from one place to another. We all know that blood flows from different parts of our body. Now, what's the matrix in blood and what are the connective tissue cells? So, the blood is composed of plasma. This plasma behaves like a matrix that forms the matrix of this connective tissue in which now the cells will be suspended. Remember the example of kheer? It's somewhat like that only. Fluid connective tissue is there and that milk is replaced by plasma, that is the fluid part of the blood, and apart from that we have different cells in the blood. These cells are the red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Three cells are present. RBC, that is red blood cells, WBC, that is white blood cells, and the third one is platelets. Okay, what does this plasma contains? This plasma is the fluid part. Apart from fluid, it also contains the hormones, plasma proteins. These are also present in this plasma part only. Now, what is the function of blood? We all know the functions of blood. That helps in the transportation of gases like oxygen to different parts of the cells of the body, like carbon dioxide taken to the lungs. Apart from that, that helps in the transportation of nutrients from one part of the body to another. That blood only transports the hormones also in our body. So hormones are also transported through the blood. Apart from that, whatever nitrogenous waste is prepared in the body, that is also taken to the kidneys by the blood only. So transportation of gases, waste material, digestive food or nutrients, as well as the hormones, these are all transported through blood. That is a fluid connective tissue, okay, in which the matrix is liquid. Next comes the bones. It's just the opposite. Matrix is totally solid, very hard, very rigid. Bones need to be hard only, need to be rigid only. So in bones, what is the matrix made up of? The matrix is made up of calcium and phosphorus. Fine, and in which the bone cells are suspended. So we have a matrix made up of calcium and phosphorus, and in that bone cells are suspended. This matrix is completely hard, completely rigid and non-flexible. You can't flex your bones. You can just bend them at the joints only. Okay. So if a particular bone is there, you cannot bend that bone. So that are non-flexible. What is the function of these bones? Bones are very important. They provide the framework of the skeleton. The skeleton is formed by the bones only. So they provide the body a framework. Apart from that, these bones are going to protect our internal organs as well. For example, lungs and heart are protected by the rib cage. Your brain is protected by the skull. So the bones are providing the framework of the body. They are going to protect our internal organs also. It's very rigid. It's non-flexible connective tissue. Why is it a connective tissue? Because, for example, this part of my hand is connected to this part to the elbow and shoulder are connected to each other through this bone that is present in my arm. So these bones are also connective tissues. Next comes the ligaments. Two bones are joined together to each other, kept in proper place to each other by the ligaments. For example, in our arm, we have two bones. Okay, so these two bones are kept together by the ligaments. Apart from that, in our knee also we have the femur that is there in the thigh, and below that we have two bones in the leg part. So all that will be kept in the proper position by the presence of these ligaments. These are the ligaments. So these are elastic, very elastic. They need to allow the bones to move. So they need to be elastic in nature. They are very elastic, very flexible. Okay, so these ligaments keep the bones in their proper position. For example, in our legs, we see that the muscle, that a bone that is there in the thigh region, and these are the bones that are present in the leg part. So they are connected to each other by the ligaments. Apart from that, we have bones in our forearm. So I can easily move my forearm because they are elastic tissues. The ligaments are keeping them together in their position. Okay, so remember, they are very elastic and they are very flexible also. Okay, and they help the bones to be kept in a proper position. Apart from that, internal organs are also kept in their proper position by the ligaments only. Next comes the tendons. Tendons are attached on one end to the muscle and the other end to the bones. So if the muscle is there, is connected to the bones through the tendon. Okay, muscles will read as a separate part, that are muscular tissues, and the last part of the muscular tissue that becomes very that is very less elasticity, very less elastic substances there, that is formed by the tendons. So tendons are a connecting link between the bones and the muscles. Okay, they are very strong, they have a very good strength but very little flexibility. Fine. Ligaments were having a lot of flexibility, but tendons have very little flexibility. They don't require flexibility. Na? Flexibility will be there in the muscles, but tendons are going to be just providing that strength. Fine. They will be attaching the muscles to the bones. Now comes the cartilage. Where is the cartilage present? That is there in the tip of the nose, in the ears, and you can also feel the cartilage that is present in the trachea. So in the trachea, when you feel this at your throat, you can feel some hard structures, some rings, and that is the cartilage. So this cartilage is present in the nose, ears, that is there in the trachea, and in the larynx. Larynx is my voice box, because of which I am able to speak. So these cartilages helps in smoothing the surfaces. Wherever the bony surfaces are there, so that smoothing of the bony surface is done by the cartilage. Just imagine, if the bone was the last part of your body in the nose, then it would not be covered with cartilage. What could have happened? Okay, you must look like Supankha, okay, from Ramayana. So that is the cartilage that makes the bony surfaces smooth. Fine. Next comes the areolar tissues. Areolar tissues, the name only suggests that it's like a bubble packing. Whenever you order something from Amazon or Flipkart, that comes with a lot of packing material inside that. And some packing material is there, like bubble packing is there, having a lot of air in that, air bubbles are there. Similarly is the areolar tissue, is it's like a packing material. Packing material is present between the internal organs, apart from that between the muscles and the skin also we have areolar tissues. Apart from that, between blood vessels, nerves, they all will be having areolar tissues. Apart from that also, between the cells of the organ also, inside the organ also, that will be acting as a packing material. Okay. For example, if you talk about any of the organ, that will be having many cells, but those cells have to be kept in their proper position only, and that packing material is the areolar tissues. Fine. That is a connective tissue. Next comes the word adipose. Remember, wherever you get the word adipose, remember that refers to fat cells. So, adipose tissues are containing the fat cells, and that acts like a insulator also. That is why it is present below the skin and between the organs also. These adipose tissues are the fat cells that are present under the skin as well as between different organs. So what's present there? That is the areolar tissues containing fats. Fine. So these are all about the different connective tissues that are present in our body. I hope you have understood that. So keep on revising, study well and score well. That's all for today. Good day everyone.